Hey, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We're tackling a topic that's, well, it's woven into the fabric of modern culture, something you've likely encountered, whether you've actively sought it out or, just absorbed bits of its ideas.
That's right. We're pulling back the curtain on the world of classic self-help and personal development literature, those enduring books that have attempted to guide people toward living better, more fulfilling lives.
Yeah, and our map for this journey is Tom Butler-Bowdon's 50 Self-Help Classics. It's a fantastic collection, really, giving us a window into the core ideas that have resonated across decades, even centuries sometimes.
hmm Our mission today is to go beyond just like listing titles. We want to unpack the source material, extract the most potent insights, see how these different philosophies sort of bump up against each other or surprisingly align,
Right.
and help you find what's most useful for navigating your own path in today's, let's face it, complex world.
Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to understanding the bedrock concepts from a massive landscape of personal growth ideas. Let's jump in. So, right at the very beginning, our source highlights this fundamental tension
hmm
that runs through so much of this literature. What is the self we're supposedly trying to help or, improve?
Exactly. Butler-Bowdon points out two basic, often seemingly contradictory ideas. One is that we have a changeless core, maybe a soul or a deeper, unchangeable essence. Authors like Wayne Dyer, Thomas More, Deepak Chopra often lean into this.
Okay.
The idea is that self-knowledge means connecting to this pre-existing core, which supposedly holds the blueprint for your purpose.
Almost like excavating a statue that's already there, but it's buried under layers of conditioning or distraction. You're uncovering who you already are deep down.
Precisely.
Right.
Then the contrasting view is the blank slate. This is the idea that you are not just finding yourself, but actively creating yourself. Anthony Robbins really embodies this.
Right.
And the source links it even to people like Benjamin Franklin with his structured self-improvement, or, wow, Friedrich Nietzsche's powerful declaration, will a self and thou shalt become a self.
That sounds like a fundamentally different project, though. One is discovery, the other is construction.
Yeah.
How do the sources suggest we reconcile those?
Yeah.
Or do they even try?
Well, the source notes that most people aren't purely one or the other. We often live somewhere in the middle, perhaps trying to both honor our maybe innate tendencies and build new habits or identities.
Yeah.
But modern life, with its multiple online and offline personas, different roles we play, and just constant change, it really challenges that older, maybe simpler idea of having a single, unitary, independent self.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to feel like one consistent person when your identity might feel kind of fragmented across different contexts, like work you, home you, online you.
Totally. And the source briefly looks ahead, pointing out how accelerating technological change, potential genetic alterations, significantly extended lifespans, I mean, maybe living to 100 or 150.
Wow.
Or even the possibility of, like, digital consciousness could drastically redefine self-knowledge. What does identity continuity even mean over 15 decades? What does knowing thyself mean if the self can be fundamentally altered or uploaded or whatever?
Those are wild questions.
Mhm.
It makes you wonder if some of the older ideas about a static self can even hold up long term.
Speaking of older ideas, though, our source highlights how much ancient wisdom is actually considered foundational self-help. It wasn't always called that, of course, but the concerns were, well, pretty similar.
Absolutely. Take Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. This wasn't even written for publication. It was his personal journal
Right.
during a time of immense crisis in the Roman Empire, wars, plague, natural disasters. He was trying to find sanity in what the source calls a mad world.
And it's not just about positive platitudes, is it? I mean, he really grapples with the messiness, the imperfection, and finding comfort in the idea that maybe there's a larger meaning to difficult events that we just can't grasp from down here.
Yeah, exactly. And that beautiful quote is in the source. Survey the circling stars as though you yourself were mid-course with them. Visions of this kind purge away the dross of our earthbound life. It connects that inner peace to a kind of cosmic perspective.
Mm-hmm. The nutshell takeaway for Aurelius, according to the source, is seek peace inside yourself, do the work that is yours, and wonder at the mysteries of the universe. It's really about internal resilience despite all the external chaos.
Then there's the Bhagavad-Gita. The source presents it as this profound allegory of the warrior Arjuna facing this huge moral dilemma before a battle against his own family. a powerful exploration of action versus non-action.
Right. And it introduces these deep concepts like karma and dharma and duty or cosmic law. The source notes Joseph Campbell's view that maturity involves saying yes to the existence of the abominable or evil, not endorsing it, obviously, but recognizing it's part of the universal fabric. Perhaps even because you are meant to confront it.
It's so layered. It's poetry, scripture, philosophy, and yeah, definitely a guide for navigating life's toughest choices. The nutshell from the source: love, faith, hope, the glory of God, the perfectibility of man. Big concepts, but rooted in a very human dilemma.
The Bible is also included, seen as having, a huge role in shaping the modern Western concept of the individual and our responsibility for the world around us. The source also mentions its view on what it calls the dark side of a person.
And from the Buddhist tradition, the Dhammapada, the source highlights it as this ancient guide to banishing suffering, a path toward universal truth or dharma. It's noted for its timeless wisdom, its serenity, and patience.
And the core message in a nutshell is incredibly powerful, and wow, it aligns with so many later psychological ideas. Refine and improve the quality of your thoughts, and you'll have little to fear from the world. That's a direct link between your inner state and outer experience.
Totally. Finally, Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. This one takes a very different tack from all the striving. It's about aligning with the Tao, the universal flow, where actions feel effortless, like the unfolding.
Yeah.
It contrasts sharply with action driven purely by will or manipulation.
And this is where you get that really counterintuitive advice highlighted in the source. Give up, and you will succeed. It just challenges our ingrained belief that more effort always equals better results. Always.
So it's about trusting something larger than yourself, maybe the universe's intelligence, rather than relying solely on your own willpower. It suggests a simple life, not focused on power or fame, but understanding the power of timing and working with natural patterns, not against them.
Yeah. The nutshell sums it up. There is an easier way to get what you want from life, involving attunement with nature and the universe. What a contrast to that will a self idea we started with.
Right. Complete opposite ends of the spectrum almost. Okay, so moving from those ancient foundations, let's explore how these classics dissect our inner landscape, the mind, emotions, and even the soul.
Yeah, this is a huge area of focus, starting with the power of belief in the mind. James Allen's As a Man Thinketh is such a cornerstone here.
The source points out the perhaps uncomfortable truth. We are responsible for our condition based on our thoughts. But the flip side is really empowering. If you change your mind, you can change your world. It's about how you process circumstances, how you use challenges, like failure.
Building right on that, Joseph Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind goes even deeper. His core principle is, the law of your mind is the law of belief. What you deeply believe, consciously or, importantly, subconsciously, shapes who you are and what you experience.
Okay.
And crucially, the subconscious just registers anything you feed it as fact. It doesn't judge.
That's a little terrifying, actually. It doesn't discern between a helpful belief or a limiting one. It just takes orders.
Exactly, which highlights the incredible power of your conscious thought and imagination. He also touches on this idea of a larger human mind or infinite intelligence, suggesting visualization isn't just like wishful thinking, but maybe tapping into some universal creative principle.
Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking is probably the most famous title here, right? It draws heavily from religious faith, but translates it into practical techniques, picturing positive outcomes, neutralizing negative thoughts. The idea is that a calm mind lets those positive thoughts flourish. Expect the best to get the best. Simple, but powerful.
And Shakti Gawain's creative visualization makes it a very conscious technique. It's about deliberately using your imagination to manifest reality, emphasizing the link between your internal image and the external outcome. The source notes it's useful if you want more perceived control while also maybe wanting to align with a flow, kind of bridging the gap.
Then Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics introduces the self-image as the absolute golden key. It's formed by past experiences and how others see us, and it's completely value neutral. Your actions and results tend to align with this self-image, whether it's accurate or not, empowering or limiting. It just is.
Right. And this is where the idea of consciously manufacturing and making that positive self-image indelible comes in, like tattooing it on the brain, as the source puts it, which is quite a visual.
Yeah.
The goal is to become the kind of person who naturally achieves your goals, rather than just trying to get goals from a place where your self-image doesn't match.
That connects right back to will of self, doesn't it?
Yes.
But with a specific, almost mechanical focus on the subconscious image.
Uh-huh. And Anthony Robbins, in Awaken the Giant Within, he focuses on reinforcing empowering beliefs and changing limiting ones. He links behavior directly to pain and pleasure. We move towards pleasure, away from pain.
The core motivator.
Exactly. So you can create massive pain or pleasure associations with thoughts or actions to drive change. He stresses clarity on what you want and the sheer power of the questions you ask yourself to direct your focus. His key advice, basically, focus on where you want to go, not on what you fear.
Okay, so beyond just our thoughts, these classics delve into that other powerful inner landscape, our emotions, vulnerability, authenticity, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely critical. David D. Burns' Feeling Good, which is a foundational text in cognitive therapy, offers a core and maybe challenging idea. Your thoughts create your emotions. Therefore, your emotions cannot prove that your thoughts are accurate.
We'll say that again?
Your thoughts create your emotions, so your emotions can't prove your thoughts are right. Unpleasant feelings, he argues, simply mean you're thinking something negative and, crucially, believing it. Anger isn't caused by the event, but by your hot thoughts about the event. You have a choice in how you respond emotionally.
Wow, okay. That's taking the man thinketh idea and applying it directly to feelings. It puts a lot of power and maybe, pressure on the individual.
It certainly does. Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence frames emotions more as habits that can actually be changed through awareness and control. Temperament isn't destiny. The brain is malleable.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah. The source contrasts the idea of negative emotions just being human with figures like Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr., who seem to use powerful emotions like outrage for strategic action, rather than being consumed by them. It's about directing emotional energy, not denying it.
Then Brené Brown's Daring Greatly brings in vulnerability, reframing it completely, not as weakness to be hidden, but as courage. She asks that potent question, what's worth doing even if I fail?
And the source notes the result of daring greatly is often a quiet sense of freedom mixed with a little battle fatigue. It's brave, but it's messy. It's not easy. She deeply explores shame as the fear of disconnection, noting how it can show up differently for men, like fear of failure, being seen as weak, and women, fear of not being heard or validated. She sees things like midlife crises often stemming from this shame and societal expectation.
And she talks about that psychological armor we wear.
Right. Including foreboding joy, where you're almost afraid to feel happy because you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You anticipate bad things to avoid being blindsided, but it totally robs you of present happiness.
Oh, man. I think we all know that feeling sometimes.
Yeah.
And the popularity of her work really suggests, as the source points out, a deep societal yearning for that kind of courage beneath our, approval-seeking culture.
Definitely. Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life offers a message of just unconditional love and support, starting with yourself. She suggests true security comes from connecting with a deeper, maybe cosmic power, not external things like jobs or money.
And the starting point.
The path to self-love begins, she says, with simply stopping self-criticism and giving yourself a break. Her whole approach is about stripping problems of their authority by focusing on possibilities and hope instead.
Susan Jeffers' Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway tackles fear head on. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, she argues it's often a green light indicating you're growing, you're pushing your boundaries.
Yeah, the message is simple but profound. Take the step despite the fear. Ships, she reminds us, drawing on that old saying, we're not designed to stay in harbor.
Love that.
And she links responsibility to how you interpret your life experiences. Positive thinking, she argues, is actually realistic because most things we worry about never actually happen anyway. What's realistic is determined by how you choose to shape your thoughts.
And finally, in this exploration of the inner landscape, we get into some deeper stuff. The soul, myth, confronting our dark side.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Robert Bly's Iron John uses ancient mythology, specifically the Grimm fairy tale, to explore masculinity. He makes this crucial distinction between the wild man, who has integrated his inner hurt and shadow aspects, kind of like a shaman,
Okay.
and the savage man, who just projects his inner desperation outward, often destructively. It's about the necessity of initiation and accommodating the dark side, something modern culture, he argues, really struggles with.
Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth, famously discussed with Bill Moyers, presents mythical characters as archetypes, these universal patterns that offer a map for the human journey. Mythology, in his view, makes all experience potentially empowering, framing life as a song of the universe.
He contrasted the hero who creates something new with the leader who just accomplishes things within the existing structure. And he famously believed he never met an ordinary person, but that many people just choose to live inauthentic lives. Thomas More's Care of the Soul deliberately differentiates the soul from the ego. The soul is deeper. It welcomes paradox, mystery, contradiction. It doesn't need fixing or improving by sheer will. It needs care.
Care, not fixing. That's interesting.
Right. This means respecting things like depression, melancholy, or even jealousy, not as problems to be solved immediately, but as expressions of the soul that might hold some meaning or message. He sees love as an event of the soul, a door into mystery, not just something you make work.
So even jealousy?
Even jealousy, he suggests, can serve the soul, maybe by defining limits or rooting you. It's a different perspective.
Definitely. And James Hillman's The Soul's Code?
Hillman introduces the potent idea of a daemon, or soul image, like an active kernel of truth or potential residing in each person from the start, like an acorn containing the blueprint of the oak tree.
Ah, the incorn theory.
Exactly. The idea is we are a story unfolding, not just a bundle of traits shaped by environment. He discusses the concept of a bad seed as a complex interplay of this core potential, this acorn, and personality. He challenges our culture's avoidance of darkness, suggesting innocence can paradoxically attract evil. And a resonant point from this source: there are no mediocre souls. Everyone has this unique potential.
Okay, so we've looked inward at the self, mind, emotions, soul, all that. Now, how do these classics guide us in navigating life externally, through action, finding purpose, and connecting with others?
Right, putting into practice. Finding direction and purpose is a huge thread. Viktor Frankl's man's search for meaning, born from his horrific experiences in concentration camps, powerfully argues that the search for meaning is the primary motivational force in human beings. Not pleasure, not power, but meaning.
And he saw existential distress not as sickness, but as a sign of becoming more deeply human, right? He emphasized free will, even the most constrained circumstances. Ultimately, the meaning of life isn't some universal given, it's the meaning you decide to give it.
Precisely. David Brooks's The Road to Character brings it into a more modern context, contrasting resume virtues, skills for success, with eulogy virtues, character traits like kindness, bravery, honesty, what people say about you after you're gone.
That's a stark contrast.
It is. He suggests vocation often chooses you, that life is about contributing to something bigger than yourself, maybe repaying a debt for the gift of life, like his example of Francis Perkins. He challenges our modern awesome culture, arguing real success comes from commitment to values and long-term perspective, and paradoxically, you can't fully know yourself just by looking inward, but through commitment and service.
Clayton Christensen, coming from a business background, applies theories like disruptive innovation and motivation factors to life in How Will You Measure Your Life? It's an interesting crossover.
Yeah, it really is. He uses Herzberg's distinction between hygiene factors like pay, status, they prevent dissatisfaction but don't truly motivate, and motivation factors, growth, responsibility, they drive deep satisfaction.
So money doesn't make you happy, but lack of it makes you unhappy.
Basically, yeah. He talks about balancing deliberate plans with emergent opportunities in your life strategy. And crucially, he emphasizes family as the most important investment, one that often gets starved of resources because we chase more immediate, tangible work payoffs.
Oof, that hits home.
Yeah. The ultimate metric of life, he argues, is non-material often. It's about helping others grow and succeed.
And dealing with transitions and change, that's a certainty in life.
Right.
William Bridges' Transitions.
Bridges frames transition not as an ending, but as a natural cyclical process that ultimately leads to a clearer sense of direction, even if it feels messy in the middle.
It always feels messy in the middle.
Right. He validates that feeling of going back to square one or like you've wasted years, offering support for that often uncomfortable middle phase. He quotes Emerson. Not in his goals, but in his transitions, man is great. And that very practical Zen saying, after enlightenment, the laundry. Change is constant, and growth happens during the transitions, not just at the destination.
So how do these classics approach actual action, success, and strategy out in the world?
Well, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably the most famous and maybe the most misunderstood title. The source makes it really clear. It's not a guide to manipulation. It's rooted in a genuine love of people and aims at making true, sincere connections.
Yeah, it highlights that beyond just technical skill, those soft skills, leading people, expressing ideas clearly, are absolutely essential for real-world success. You can be brilliant, but if you can't connect.
Exactly. Richard Koch's The 80-20 principle presents this observation of reality. Roughly 80% of results tend to come from 20% of the effort or causes. He contrasts the old work hard, get good results, 50-50 world with one where focusing your effort on the high-impact 20% of your unique talents or actions yields exponentially greater returns.
This really challenges conventional time management, doesn't it? He argues for a time revolution, saying we're often profligate in time's abuse, just busy, not effective.
Right. 80-20 thinking, he suggests, allows for ambition combined with a more relaxed manner, reflective thought, and working with the grain of the universe. That sounds a bit like Lao Tzu again, doesn't it?
It does. Finding that leverage point.
There's definitely a connection there, finding leverage and ease. Samuel Smiles' self-help, on the other hand, is much more in the traditional hard work camp. He emphasizes purpose and the will to labor energetically and perseveringly above innate talent.
Right. Quotes like, Buffon's genius is patience, and de Maistre's to know how to wait is the great secret of success really reinforce this. He argues character is power, more than knowledge is power, and lasting business success absolutely relies on integrity and trust. A different angle from 80-20 perhaps, but emphasizing that necessary foundation.
Scott Peck's The Road Less Traveled famously opens with, life is difficult. No sugarcoating there. He posits discipline as the key to solving life's inevitable problems, things like delaying gratification, accepting responsibility, dedication to truth, and balancing needs.
And he argues major problems often come from not facing the smaller ones.
Yeah, that problems don't just vanish because you ignore them, they tend to fester. Psychological maturity for him is strongly linked to the capacity to delay gratification, to choose long-term well-being over short-term comfort.
Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up seems, simple on the surface, but the source frames it as genuinely transformative. The idea is a single, concentrated tidying burst creates a lasting effect. But deeper.
Deeper, she argues, clutter distracts us from our inner messy states, while a clean, intentionally curated environment forces us to confront internal issues, potentially setting off a chain reaction of self-discovery.
So tidying your room can actually tidy your mind.
That's the idea. She emphasizes respecting belongings, mindful folding, and only keeping things that spark joy as ways to build self-confidence and optimism. It's physical action leading to psychological change.
And Ellen J. Langer's mindfulness. How does she define it?
She defines it not as emptying the mind, but as actively noticing new things, creating and reassessing categories, contrasting it with mindless autopilot living. She uses the Miss Havisham analogy for premature cognitive commitments, getting stuck in old ways of seeing things and not questioning them.
Like being trapped in the past.
Exactly. She advocates a process orientation, asking, how can I do this, rather than getting stuck on, can I do this? This sharpens judgment and improves self-feeling. She also highlights intuition as this effortless path, providing vital survival and success information that often bypasses conscious, logical analysis, just knowing.
Okay, finally, connecting with others is obviously crucial. How do these classics inform our relationships?
John Gray's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus is included, and the source notes its central premise is that acceptance of inherent differences between men and women is key, at least initially. He explores how men and women might experience shame and respond to relationship dynamics differently, men feeling inadequate, women feeling unheard, those kinds of generalizations.
And the source frames his work as highlighting tendencies, maybe, for people looking to improve relationships now, by first recognizing potential differences before hopefully moving beyond rigid roles.
Yeah, that seems to be the take. It's a starting point for understanding, perhaps. And we can link this back to Christensen's point about relationships being the greatest investment. He talks about actively working out the jobs your partner needs you to do.
What a phrase, jobs.
I know, but it's about service and understanding needs and how sacrifice deepens commitment. He asks that question, what job does my partner most need me to do?
And Thomas More's idea of finding identity not in isolation, but in relation to another person, that resonates here too.
And didn't Florence Scovel Shinn have something about love?
Yes, whom we'll touch on more in a moment. She has this concept of real love as an unselfish blessing you bestow on others.
And the Dalai Lama, quoted in the source, emphasizes just cultivating affection and connection as a fundamental path to happiness, stating that the simplest antidote to loneliness is connecting with anyone. Doesn't have to be profound, just connection. Right, so to try and bring some of these threads together, let's look at a few maybe more transcendent perspectives offered in the source. Teilhard de Chardon's The Phenomenon of Man offers this vast evolutionary vision, seeing evolution not just physically, but extending to mind and spirit, moving towards an ultimate omega point. A really powerful thought from his work, noted in the source, is that a truth seen clearly by one person is actually a truth for all and will eventually be universally accepted.
Wow, that's a big idea. And Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love.
Yeah, drawing from A Course in Miracles, her core message just turns conventional thinking on its head. Our deepest fear isn't that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful and brilliant beyond measure. Fear, she posits, is merely the absence of love. It's an illusion, while love is the ultimate reality.
So fear isn't real in that sense.
In her framework, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about offering your talents and work to a higher purpose, or God, to find their best use. Seeing your life as a co-creating partnership where miracles happen through you, not necessarily by you alone.
Florence Scovel shins The Game of Life and How to Play It. That sounds intriguing.
It presents life itself as a game governed by spiritual laws, mastered through faith and divine guidance. She emphasizes the incredible power of words and thoughts. Man's word is his wand, she says, like magic.
Okay.
She talks about having a divine right to ask for what you desire and the necessity of acting as if you've already received it, or, preparing for it, even when there's absolutely no sign of it, to demonstrate your expectation and faith. A key phrase is, a feeling of opulence must precede its manifestation. You have to feel it first.
Feel rich to be rich, kind of.
Something like that, yeah. So pulling back, what are the common threads here? We've seen the immense power attributed to the mind and belief, right? The centrality of our inner state, whether thoughts, emotions, or the soul, in shaping our reality.
Definitely.
There's a recurring theme that struggle and difficulty aren't just obstacles to be avoided, but often integral to growth. And this idea of connecting with something larger than the isolated self, whether you call it the universe, a divine principle, or universal laws.
And we've certainly seen the core tensions pop up again and again. Is the self something to be discovered deep within, or something you actively build? Is success found through relentless striving and willpower, or by aligning and flowing with some natural order?
Exactly. And are difficulties problems to be fixed and eliminated, or aspects of reality to be accepted, maybe even cared for and learned from?
For you, the listener, this deep dive into these varied sources isn't just a summary. It's really meant to give you a spectrum of perspectives, different lenses through which you can view your own life's challenges and aspirations, hopefully sparking some aha moments as you navigate your own path.
We've covered a remarkable range today, haven't we? Exploring ideas from ancient philosophers to modern psychologists and spiritual teachers, all through the lens of Tom Butler-Bowdon's 50 self-help classics.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that while the packaging changes, the fundamental human quest for understanding ourselves, finding meaning, and living well is pretty timeless.
Mm-hmm. This deep dive was all about extracting those core insights from the source material, helping you see the landscape of these influential ideas.
So as you consider all this, the idea of a pre-existing self versus a created self, that tension between striving and flowing, the undeniable power of your inner world, maybe consider this question. How might you uniquely blend self-knowledge and self-creation in your own life?
Yeah, what's your personal ratio of disciplined striving versus consciously going with the flow? It's probably not all one or the other.
Right, and what might your unhabitual way of seeing the world be, the one that Ellen Langer talks about? That little shift in perspective that could unlock a completely new possibility for you.
Something to think about.
Definitely. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.